Good morning to you all members of the press. Thank you for coming to this press conference. We are here as National Democratic Working Group. We want to present our position on the two blueprints, that is the National Development Strategy 2 and 2026 budget. The one who is chairing this presser is myself, the Youth Movement spokesperson, Mr. Mthuli Ncube, and on my immediate left is the acting chairman and chief facilitator of National Democratic Working Group, Dr. Uraya Zembe, and is going to be our main presenter for this presser. On my far left is our chief national organ, Engineer Joelson Mugari. And having said that, without wasting much of your time, I will hand over to our main presenter to give us what he has. Then afterwards, we can ask questions and we'll be responding, three of us. So over to you, acting chairperson and chief facilitator of National Democratic Working Group, Dr. Uraya Zembe.
Thank you, Event Chair Mthuli Ncube. Welcome to this press once more. Well, in a short period of time, we're with you. How many weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And we are with you again because there are national developments that require immediate attention as couriers of information to our citizens here and abroad. I have to present the following response to two national economic proposals. The first, National Development Strategy 2, then the second, the 2026 National Budget, which were tabled on the 27th of last month. Today is the 2nd of December.
Yes.
So the budget day was on the 27th of November, and also the NDS2 day was at State House on the same day. Let me delve into our main response as National Democratic Working Group. And I shall be very formal. I will go through this text and without any discretion, diversion, and then the press, we can have an interactive session. National Democratic Working Group position on NDS2 and 2026 budget. On 27 November 2025, the ZANU-PF illegitimate regime announced two public economic plans that it wishes to implement in Zimbabwe. The two economic plans are the National Development Strategy 2 and the 2026 National Budget. It is stated in the budget statement that the National Financial Plan, which is the budget, for the year 2026 is anchored on the 10 pillars of broad national priority areas contained in NDS2. The two economic proposals are grand public deceptions. The ZANU-PF regime in Zimbabwe is completely unable to achieve the intended goals, given the regime's historical failure to attain similar goals for the past 45 years it has been in office. Instead, the regime only succeeded in creating serious political, economic, and social underdevelopment in our country. Since 1980, the illegitimate ZANU-PF regime's national management style system has been characterized by state-sponsored violence, economic corruption, elections rigging, rampant violation of basic human rights, and political dictatorship. NDS2. The most prominent dishonest statement in the NDS2 document is the goal of good governance, institution building, peace and security. The current developments toward bad governance, destruction and capture of public institutions, state violence against political opponents and human rights organizations, bombing of houses and press conference venues, violent disruption of book launches, banning of opposition meetings, and open looting of public resources by ZANU-PF members are all frightening negative developments contrary to good governance principles. In Zimbabwe, all public institutions of governance, including the 2013 Amendment Constitution, are now captives of one person, namely Emmerson Mnangagwa, since 2017. The executive, legislature, and judiciary branches of government are currently unable to function independently and professionally as they should do in a people's democratic constitutional state. The public institutions are totally crippled and corrupted. Through a constitutional provision, Section 98(1), on presidential immunity and assisted by the ZANU-PF Conference Resolution number 1 of 2024 and 2025 on the 2030 Constitutional Amendment agenda, Mnangagwa wants to impose his personal dynastic life president's rule in Zimbabwe. This is a disastrous move that will destroy all NDS2 objectives and goals. The 2028 scheduled periodic general elections will be abolished under the executive monarchy kingdom rulership of Emmerson Mnangagwa. Competitive multi-party politics will be completely extinguished from the face of Zimbabwe's land space. Ruthless dictatorship and tyranny will ensue, resulting in further massive human suffering, economic decadence, diseases, poverty, and death. The macroeconomic stability and the deepening of the financial services sector's dream in NDS2 will never be achieved. The current infrastructural degradation taking place in the public, health, education, transport, energy sectors will continue to exacerbate. The trumpeted Harare to Bite Bridge Road construction is far from completion. In urban areas, there are perennial problems of housing, refuse removal, water and sewage drainage that continue to worsen each day. Formal unemployment is above 95% in Zimbabwe. The crisis has caused a huge flight of desperate Zimbabwean human capital resources into the diaspora as economic and social refugees. The industrial manufacturing sector that should create massive jobs for the nation is completely dead. Unemployment has also created another serious national problem of drug abuse and addiction by the youth population because of failure to secure gainful employment. It causes social alienation and permanent psychological mental damage to the young generation. A whole generation of young people has been lost to the drugs menace. In the rural areas, there are increasing levels of poverty caused by the lack of tillage, draft power, and irrigation equipment, as well as other agricultural inputs needed to drive viable economic production. In the SADC region, Zimbabwe's image and international relations continue to deteriorate. The ZANU-PF regime is now notorious for exporting political corruption and election rigging, dirty tactics to other countries. The foreign interventions have caused enormous governance and violent political upheavals in the whole SADC region. The ZANU-PF regime's interference in the elections held in South Africa, Botswana, Mozambique, DRC, Namibia, Zambia, Malawi, Madagascar, and Tanzania is well documented. Clearly, NDS-2 is doomed to fail like its predecessor, NDS-1. No development was brought about by NDS-1. Equally, no overall national development shall be created under NDS-2. It's a high level of fiction and drama. 2026 budget. As stated above, this financial plan is another grand deception by the ZANU-PF regime in Zimbabwe. A budget is a plan of financial resources set aside for specific business activities in a given period of time. A plan is a specific course of action towards the achievement of a stated goal. So a budget is a futuristic financial statement for future implementation. A budget uses money measurement unit to quantify economic financial information expressed in figures or numbers. Zimbabwe does not have a single currency system of financial measurement. The country uses what is called a multi-currency system. Surely, this is a euphemism for financial failure, collapse, chaos, and anarchy. It is mind-boggling that on 27 November 2025, Mthuli Ncube presented a fallacious national budget statement without a relevant economic base. The budget figures are denominated in a non-existent and dysfunctional ZiG currency. We do not have a ZiG currency denominated economy in Zimbabwe. What we have in use is predominantly the United States of America dollar, USD. This is our de facto functional currency. Mthuli Ncube's proposed budget is therefore both high-sounding fiction and deception. It's just an empty economic financial jargon. It has no practical relevance to economic reality on the ground in Zimbabwe. Can Minister Mthuli Ncube tell us roughly the total supply of the so-called multi-currency monies available to the people of Zimbabwe for domestic trade and investment at any given point in time? Can he assure the nation that the estimated cash expenditure outturn of 232.1 billion ZiG contained in the budget will actually be made available to physically circulate among the citizens of Zimbabwe for a period of 1 year, that is 2026, to drive domestic trade, investment, and economic activities? Clearly, it is pointless to analyze the implications of votes of expenditure allocated to ministries because the figures are fictitious without any practical relevance to economic reality on the ground in Zimbabwe. It is futile to do such an exercise using the ZiG currency, which is not commonly available and acceptable as a stable money measurement unit in the economy. The budget statement cannot be used as an effective standard to direct, monitor, evaluate, and control economic activities in Zimbabwe because the monetary figures are denominated in the Zig currency, which is not commonly regarded as a competent money measurement unit, medium of exchange, store of future economic value, unit of account, and legal tender in all economic business transactions undertaken in Zimbabwe. Therefore, the Zig currency cannot be relied upon as a competent quantitative monetary unit for measuring Zimbabwe's economic gross domestic product, GDP. In addition, Zig currency denominated financial information cannot competently assist decision makers to make realistic, informed decisions about economic activities, operations, trade, and investment in Zimbabwe. The Zig currency is not even available on the market for people to use it on a daily basis. Its limited uses only exist in urban transport combis and street vending business stalls for solving small price changes. There is a fundamental weakness regarding Mthuli Ncube's taxation policy proposals. It is flawed to levy taxes on historical possessions of taxpayers. It causes more pain and misery to their standard of living. What must be taxed is the economy. That is to say, new economic production, not transactions of electronic money transfers, bank account balances, withdrawals, and the US dollar currency itself. If you listen to Mthuli Ncube very well, his statement was based on punishing the citizens who use the US dollar, which is really the functional currency on the ground. If we were to take a short snap survey here, you will find that probably 100% of us are in possession of the US dollar currency, not the fictitious Zig currency dreamt of. The National Democratic Working Group therefore dismisses NDS2 and 2026 budget as disguised schemes to loot national resources by the corrupt ZANU-PF regime in Zimbabwe. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Acting Chairperson and Chief Facilitator of National Democratic Working Group, for a timely and relevant presentation. And now we take it to you, the members of the media. If you have any questions, this is the time for you to pose the questions. Then we will respond. You tell us your name, your media house, and the question, whether you are directing it to all of us or to Dr. Zembe. Then we note it down. Questions?
Thomas Madu, freelance. Maybe Mr. Zembe, what's your, you spoke about the NDS2, and the NDS2 is coming at the end of NDS1. So maybe, can you briefly maybe pass a comment on NDS1, whether you think it was a success or not?
Thank you very much for the question. Say, what's Dr. Zembe's take on NDS1, since he commented about NDS2? Another question?
We can respond to this one.
Yeah, since you don't have another question, so
they are still formulating more questions.
All right, over to you.
Thank you very much, Event Chair. Yes, thank you very much, Ramaduku, for that question. Yes, when Mnangagwa presented the NDS2 at State House on 27 November 2025. He actually stated that it was in progression to ND as one. But ladies and gentlemen, ND as one proposal was supposed to improve the standard of living of the people of Zimbabwe, including ourselves. Have we witnessed an improvement in our standard of living? Let's start with ourselves in this presser. I'm sure I can answer on your behalf, but let me answer on my behalf. I'm worse off as a citizen of this country. There are more problems that I'm seeing every day. Nothing has been done to create employment for the nation. I see more and more people exiting Zimbabwe into the diaspora, searching for basic survival. I see a lot of deaths at public institutions, the hospitals. I see a lot of desperation at public schools. And I see a lot of children and young people resorting to drug and substance abuse to the extent that it's now a pandemic. I see more and more of, in fact, ragged roads that we are seeing, including what I've stated in the statement there, the so-called, they've been trumpeting about the Harare to Beitbridge Road. You go, use that road now, after Mashingo, you'll be shocked with the detours there. Nothing is happening, nothing has happened. The road is far from being completed. I was just stating one example. Now, you go to travel right now to the rural areas and see how people are desperate. The price of the seed is so astronomical that most people, most householders, they have no seed to plant. They've been telling us, the presidential seed program, have you witnessed it, you members of the press, this time around? The rains are with us. Every year, our good Creator blesses us with those rains. But you see desperation, you see despondence, you see a lot of immorality taking place in the country. You witness a lot of thieving and also desperation in this country. I am still interrogating whether NDS1 brought any goodies. It hasn't. The problems we had then, even of the collapse of the money supply in the country, that we don't have our own single currency in this country, is the reality, and that is the truth. And I really want to demonstrate in answer to your question, and my demonstration here would in fact bring more evidence that we are in a mess, the mess that we were in before NDS 1 still subsists and continues. What I want to demonstrate here is a principle of economic operation, economic management, how you cause economic production of goods and services to occur in a community or in a country. And there is a concept of money measurement, which is used. The whole world has money measurement economic concept. And in that concept, we become competitive on a nation-to-nation basis, then on a person-to-person basis to undertake economic production of goods and services so that we live our lives happily. Now, here I have currencies here. This is a rupee, 1 rupee, the Indian currency. This 1 rupee, 2 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees. I am exhibiting the unit of economic measurement in India. It's there. You go to India, this is the unit of measurement. In India, and across-border transactions so that you have rates of exchange. Indians, Zimbabweans doing business together, and this is their currency. The American currency, I have it here, $1. Here, that's the dollar I have. There are so many denominations I'm exhibiting. So 2 nations have exhibited. Now, members of the press, pursue Mthuli Ncube. Ask him to exhibit a multi-currency unit of measurement, like I've done here. It will be very interesting whether I will be able to do it, but I can tell you, I can pre-answer it. There is nothing like that. There is nothing like multi-currency unit of measurement. By multi, you mean many. And when you mean many, you talk of a group. If you join these 2 currencies, they are now more than 1, right? Which currency represents the 2 currencies? None. So there's been grand deception of what the NDS1 attempted to resolve. Has not resolved it. Our money system has collapsed in the country. It collapsed before NDS1. Do we have one yet? We don't. You know, I'm critiquing and actually responding to the devastation that continued under NDS1. There has not been any development to talk about. And I would still also challenge Mthuli Ncube and his government to quantify the economic development that was brought by NDS1. This is why the NDWG is actually making a statement that there has not been any development that was brought by NDS1. So the drama continues. So the fiction continues of lying to the nation in broad daylight, spending resources, of the nation in a parliament telling us, and for example, in fact, I may want to know how many of those who sat in that parliament building when Mthuli Ncube was talking of this hocus pocus understood him. How many? Yet a budget is a very, very important tool to cause economic production, to cause, benefits to be created by the people and to share the benefits. You will find that many people, even those who were in that parliament, and many people who are even outside, do not make sense of what Mthuli Ncube spoke about. It's always smoke screen. Yet the problems continue. The problems continue on the ground. No currency to use in this country. Only yesterday, when I was buying some stick, what do you call this? Cellotape. Yes. I actually took 1 hour moving around. The cost was $2. I had a $10 note, the American $10 note. And in that shop, a big shop, there was no change. And we wasted I wasted my 1 hour in that shop, just wanting to buy that item. Myself and the dealer, we had done our part. I wanted it, the dealer had delivered it, but nothing came our way. We are being let down by the ZANU-PF regime. I must end here, and you can come in because that's a general question to interrogate NDS1.
Well, thank you very much, Acting Chief Facilitator. To add on what Dr. Zembe said, it is clear that National Democratic Working Group, we say NDS1 didn't produce any results. If you look at the budget, it is a confession that NDS1 did not produce anything. The value-added tax, VAT, was increased with 0.5. If there was a progress, we should not be increasing taxes. And increasing the tax base is a confession that there's no production in the country. So the only source of income for the government is taxation. And you look at, I also want to take something from the main presentation. Dr. Zembe told us that majority of the young people are victims of drugs. Go and check the budget. How much was put towards empowerment of young people? Remember, we have young people who are victims of drug and substance abuse. They need rehabilitation services. We need also to give those who are not yet victims the job to do. But there is nothing. And what happens? They give a paltry, very little money towards youth empowerment. And you know what they will do afterwards with the youth empowerment? We saw the other day, they gathered under Mbuyani Ander's stage, the likes of Tino Machakaire, Ma'am Chinguri, Ma'am Nangagwa. They gathered there, they demonstrated from Neander's stage, going to Mbare Stodat. This is a whole government which is demonstrating against drug and substance abuse, a whole government reducing itself into a pressure group. And where are they getting the money? They are taking that little budget of youth empowerment, using it to demonstrate. After you've demonstrated, who will respond when you are in the government? Whom do you expect to respond? It seems they're trying to buy legitimacy in a bad way because they know that they don't have legitimacy. Look at the exports. The greatest export we have this year was around 3 billion. And guess what? It is labor. And majority of the labor force, that the youth. So Zimbabwe has lost, only in 2025, has lost labor which worth 3 billion. Which is probably 1/3 of our budget. If we are to make it, to put it into US, we need 9 billion in this country. So 1/3 of the budget is gone every year. So having said that, I know Chief National Organ has something to say to the press, and this is your time to say something, especially in relation to NDS 2 and the 2026 budget, then the dismal failure of NDS 1. Over to you, Chief National Organ.
Thank you so much, our spokesperson, Democrat Shinami. Well, I don't have much to say about something that is not there, because truly speaking, we cannot discuss of an item that is full of lies. Normally, the reasoning people say, if you argue with a fool, people will not notice the difference between the two of you. The 2026 budget is just fraudulent, constitutionally defective, and